In Gran Turismo 7, you sometimes need to choose which car to buy within a certain category. The problem is that you can't test drive the cars before buying, and the available specs don't tell you anything about the things that actually matter, like cornering capabilities, oversteer and understeer tendencies, braking distance, and so on. So you are shopping completely blind. Until now. Hi, I wanted to make this video to help you choose which Group 3 car to buy in GT7. Now, I can't test all 43 of them, but I think 15 is a good start. I'm nothing special as a driver, and I can't even use the steering wheel due to the overly stiff force feedback on the GT7, but I still think I can give you some pointers for choosing which Group 3 car to buy. Earlier, I made a spreadsheet to list all the relevant car specs and made a few calculations based on the power, torque and the PP level. But I later found that the best lap times are not achieved with the cars that excel in this spreadsheet. I already had several Group 3 cars, but I bought a few more for this video. I'll be driving a time trial in Spa. I'll put each car into default settings, limit the output power to get the PP level under 730 and drive 5 laps. Then we'll compare the best lap times. I have the ABS set to full and no traction control or other assists. We'll go alphabetically, so first we have the AMG-Mercedes. I'll add a chart to compare each car's specs, where we have the horsepower per weight per PP, torque per weight and torque per weight per PP. The idea is that even if a car has a great power-to-weight ratio, if the car's PP value is also high, one must lower the output power to enter a PP-limited race anyway. A good position in this column will end up with more power when entering the race. The number represents the order in this test group of 15 cars, so that one of 15 is the best. And I'll put the car settings to default. Rename it default 730, then I'll limit the output a bit so that it gets just under 730. There we go. And then we can start. And here I'll get a good start. I got a lousy start. Never mind, we got 5 laps to go. The AMG stops pretty well. And here, just lift the gas off a bit. I might actually be able to go even faster on that one. And the top speed gets to hair over 260. And the oversteer understeer behavior of this car is pretty balanced. So you can get it to oversteer if you want, but it doesn't understeer badly like some of the cars seem to do. So I don't need to spend time with a lot of the settings so that I could find balanced behavior. So this is pretty good. Just lift the gas a bit there. Oh, I can start braking later on. Yeah, I can do better than that. AMG is a balanced ride. It turns well, but it does have a slight tendency to slip out when accelerating out of a turn. Of course, if you use traction control, this won't be an issue. Overall, it's a fast car and it's a safe choice. Then we switch to Aston Martin DBR9. This was my favorite for a long time. So we'll see how it fares in this fight. And off we go. This doesn't seem to spin out as easily as the AMG. Yeah, here as well, just a slightly lift of the gas. gas pedal, so it goes fine. Oh, but the 6th gear is way too long. It's practically unusable. And I think the 2nd and 3rd gear are a bit shorter in this car. But yeah, it doesn't accelerate on the 6th gear at all. But yeah, the 1st gear is very short and the 6th gear is very long. I use a manual gearbox and I'm used to set the cornering speeds based on the gears. So it might take a lap or two to adjust. But the racing gearbox that I usually use for this car, the gears are adjusted much better. So they are evenly spaced. Oh, it pains me to tease the engine. Oh yeah, my first lap was already hair over 220. Aston Martin is a great car. It doesn't slip out easily, so you can accelerate out of turns, which wins you a bit of time. But the default gearbox is pretty bad, so you do need to upgrade. Overall, it's a winner. Then we go to a next car, and we now have the BMW M6. I'm not expecting good results for this car, because I've owned it for a bit and I have a lot of trouble to get the settings in a way that I would be comfortable with. It just doesn't seem to work for me all that well. And off we go. And the turning radius is clearly larger, so the tight turns don't go as easily. Seems like I need to slow down a bit more. Yeah, same behavior than the others. Just lift the gas a bit and it goes fine. And just barely reaching 260 on the top speed. Oh, and here we go. This is what I was talking about. It just tends to spin out very easily. So I need to be more careful. I'll have an extra lap for this car. This is clearly a practice run. I've been trying to get the settings to work out for me, but frankly I've been unsuccessful. Yeah, just full on gas pegged through that one. Yeah, it doesn't turn. Again, just barely reaching 260. And spinning out again, oh my god. Yeah, it just tries to spin out so hard on second gear. And even on third gear on tight turns. And when it does so, it goes out violently, so it's difficult to save. The AMG, when it started to lose traction, it went softly out with all four tires. So it was very easy and intuitive to control. But the BMW just feels wrong. It's really difficult. I don't know how anyone can learn to control that one. I guess you could. But yeah, the lap times show that it's really not my car. Then we go to Corvette C7. This is actually a new purchase for me, so I don't have any experience. I don't think I have driven 1 meter on this car. Default's 730, and actually it is under 730 already. So I guess I'll do nothing except drive. We'll see how this goes. Well, the bonnet is bumpy. This turns well. Doesn't try to spin out. Traction in that turn is reasonable. Sixth gear is a bit long, but it will still accelerate. Good torque down low. Yeah, this is quite balanced. So if I brake too late, it will slide in a controlled manner. And if I'm not careful with the acceleration on second gear on turns, it will spin a bit, but it won't spin out. Yeah, in terms of handling, I do like this car. Okay, that was a bit too fast. Tiny bit long there. Still better than any time on the BMW. And that was long. Oh. And spinning out. I was careless. Top speed at the end of that straight. It was just reaching 265. But yeah, I'll have an extra lap on this car as well. The Corvette was a balanced ride, and it did remind me of the AMG a bit. But maybe the traction wasn't as good as some of the others, because the braking distance wasn't all that good, and it did slip a bit easy. But when it did it in a balanced manner. So the behavior was predictable. But yeah, very promising. And then we go to Dodge Viper. This is one that I've been driving quite a bit, and it was one of my favorites. But let's see how it behaves on default settings. The reason I bought this car is that it has an exceptionally good statistics. The torque, both alone and for the car's weight, I think it's the highest in the whole Gr.3. So 730, and here we go. This car turns well on tight turns. Almost getting out there though. Yeah, just a hair above 260, just like the others. The traction loss is pretty balanced. Although I'm not sure if the traction is lost during braking a bit easier than on the others. Yeah, there as well. Yeah, the traction is not quite as good as on some other cars, but it's not all that bad either. The Dodge is also a balanced ride and turns well, but the traction level seems to be a bit low, and I think that's the reason that I didn't get the best times here. But especially with better tires, this can definitely be a winner. And then we go to Ferrari 458 Italia. And this is the first mid-motor type of this group. And then we go for a drive. Doesn't turn exceptionally well, but I think it's okay. We didn't reach 260. Yeah, the top speed is a bit lower. than the rest. Like 5 kilometers per hour. Oh, that's a big slide. This behaves very differently to the other cars. The gears are tuned differently and the weight balance is different. It'll take a lap or two to get in sync, so to say. And there are these really wide, balanced though, but really wide slides after braking, if I'm turning at the same time. This stops really fast. I don't think I'm getting the best time with this car though. The Ferrari is a bit one of a kind. It stops really well, but doesn't turn all that good. And it has a tendency to go into these big slides. It has a high RPM engine. I did have trouble to get used to the car, but it could be just a thing for some people. Ford GT LM race car Spec 2. And it had amazing specs. Or at least really good specs. But this is the most expensive car in the Gr.3. Most of them cost 450,000. This one was 1.6 million. Lower the power a lot. There. And then we go for a ride. Same top speed as the others. 263 is a common top speed. The end of that straight. A little bit of slide there. This stops really well, but doesn't turn all that well. So why does this car cost almost 4 times the amount of the others? I don't know. It's not something that I would feel. Not a specifically good amount of grip either. The top speed isn't amazing. I mean, any more amazing than the others. And the lap times weren't immediately better either. Yeah, let's see how this goes. I don't know if I'm missing something, but I didn't quite see the point of the Ford GT. It costs so much more than the others, and there's nothing special in it. It does stop well, doesn't turn all that well, and is maybe a bit slippery, just like the Ferrari. But I guess it looks cool to some people. Now it's time for Genesis X. I had never heard of this brand. I think this was under Korean. And we'll make a new default 730 sheet. Yeah, this is a tricky one. This actually only reaches 722.3 pp scale. So I'm not sure if I should install a turbo or something. Actually, let's do that. Because when you are racing these cars, you are upgrading the car to the level of the race anyway. So for them to be comparable, I have to get the PP level to be the same. Turbo is the only thing I can buy for this thing. Okay, we'll go with the medium RPM turbo. Then we'll go back to Spa and install the turbo and tune down the engine. Then we go for a ride. Oh, this sounds ominous. Doesn't turn all that well, so I think I have to be a bit slower at the tight turns than on some other cars. A bit slippery on acceleration, but it's not as crazy as the BMW. But the acceleration is really sensitive, to be careful when exiting a corner. Interesting that the car sound is made in a way that it sounds as if it would have the power only on higher RPMs. But I'm not sure if that's actually happening. So it may be the sound only. Yeah, this was a slippery car in slow speed corners. So I don't think I'm going to recommend this car. It reminded me of the BMW a bit. But yeah, I didn't get any exceptional lap times with this one, so it looks interesting. But yeah, I wouldn't recommend this one. Then we have the Jaguar F-Type. This is also a very recent purchase. I did get a few laps with it though, and it actually performed really well. So this might be a winner. Here as well, 723 pp. Let's buy a turbo. And here we go. Turns well, doesn't slip out too badly. Turns actually really well. A bit unstable there, or maybe it was just me. Ah, this is fast. One of the fastest top speeds after that straight. This is a great feeling car. Very gentle slides after some brakings, but very balanced. Oh, that was my bad. I'm gonna do much better than that, I'm sure. The Jaguar is definitely right up there with the other top cars. It's fast, it's predictable, it's balanced, turns well. Really good combination. And it feels really good to me personally. It's hard to explain. It's like when you go test drive cars for yourself, you might find the one that just feels like it's yours already. That's the feeling I got actually. Definitely a winner. Then we go to Lexus RC F. This was the first Gr.3 car that I got as a reward, but well, like I said, it was my first Gr.3 car, so it's no wonder that I had problems getting familiar with some of the issues. 717. So I will put a turbo and lower the power. There. And here we go. Yeah, it doesn't turn all that well. And it feels stable. This is the fastest. 270 at the end of that straight. Yeah, but it felt stable, but it's now somehow quite slippery. Doesn't fit like a glove, at least. $223. That's not looking very good. Let's see how I can make this happen. I don't like the Lexus, to be honest. It doesn't turn well, and while it's maybe the fastest of this group on straights, it's slippery and it's just not intuitive to control. Not my cup of tea at all. Then McLaren 650S. Same thing, had to buy the turbo or a supercharger to get use of all the PP. Here we go. I haven't driven a single meter on this car before. Oh, the sixth gear is very long. 263 was the top speed at the end of the straight. Well, at least this doesn't slip when accelerating. This sounds very fast, it's interesting. Still figuring out the speed so that I can attack the bends with... Stops really fast. Turns pretty well. That was a bad time, let's see what's going on. McLaren stops really well and turns quite well also. But the motor sounds, while it sounds like it would be really fast, it's actually not. I didn't get any good lap times with it. And at some point the motor sounds, it just starts to get annoying. Because it sounds like a detuned interval of 2 notes. And it's just annoying. And now Nissan GT3 NISMO. I love that name, NISMO. And here also supercharger needed to get closer to 730 pp. Alright, here we go. Seems or feels somehow unassuming. But it is as fast as the others. Feels like there might not be all that much power at the lower RPM. So there's a slight tendency to get into a slide when the power kicks in later on, but nothing too bad. That went a bit long, so this is a bad time. Let's see how I get along with this one. The NISMO is a bit difficult to be comfortable with. There's not much low-end torque, and when the revs kick up, it gets to slide pretty easily. It doesn't stop all that well either, so it didn't feel good to me personally, which is why I didn't get any exceptional times either. Porsche 911 RSR. This also needs a turbo, and off we go to driving. Turns well, and it kind of feels like it would be turning by itself in those tight, slow turns. I know this one has a mid-engine, but it kind of feels like a rear engine. Exactly the same top speed as the others. Handles really well. I feel confident in pushing this, because it seems like there are no surprises. Like it doesn't suddenly start to slide or lose grip on understeer or anything. Predictable. I actually thought that I had messed up with the footage for this 911, so I did the driving again, and interestingly enough, I was able to cut 1.5 seconds out of the best time. But since I was able to salvage the footage, and the point was to only use the 5 first laps, the new record will be disregarded. Because I'm sure I would get much better times on any of these cars if I would spend more time with them. But that should say something about this car. It's a good car. It wasn't a very good time right away, but let's see where we get. Then another newcomer for me, Subaru BRZ GT300. BRZ. Haven't driven this at all yet. So I'll just lower the output power a bit there, and now we have 730, and here we go. The motor sounds ordinary. I would have expected something unique from Subaru, but the exhaust noises come from the left. I wonder why. This could be a fast car, maybe slightly understeering at times. Feels like I could take the corners a bit faster. Yeah, the first lap is probably not very good. Well, I know it's not very good. This feels promising. Feels like I can peg the throttle when coming out of turns. Interesting. I would have actually expected better lap times. Maybe I just didn't know how to utilize the grip when accelerating from turns. But yeah, I can see that there is a lot of potential in this car. Then the last one. Toyota GR Supra Racing Concept. This I've been driving quite a lot with. And this is a very well-driving car. And actually the results that I get with this often surprise me a bit. 725.7 turbo it is. Okay, let's go. It turns pretty well. Except grip at high speed is not that good. Wow! Top speed 274. That's a record. And it goes long. When I accelerate out of the turns, it's quite predictable and it does allow me to push without losing grip. But yeah, the Subaru driving mechanics were quite different, so it might take a while for me to get back. Yeah, high-speed grip is not as good as the others. And braking distances are longer. Wow. The game popped me back on the track because I was so lost. Maybe I should give myself an extra lap with this as well. Been driving so many different cars. 277. Yeah, it's getting back to me. There we go. Yeah, let's get some better times. Supra was the fastest car on straights, but it is a bit slippery and the braking distances are longer. But the handling itself is predictable and pretty stable. All in all, a pretty good choice for a car. And personally, I really like how it looks. So, here we have all the results. And here we have them ordered by the best lap. I will divide the results to 3 groups. The last 3 were difficult to handle, and they are not cars that I would recommend. And the top 3 are the ones that I personally felt engaging. I found them predictable to handle, and these are the cars that I get the best times with. But this is just a personal opinion, and the middle group are cars that I'm sure that someone else will like better. But these 12 are the ones that I recommend choosing from. Notice that on the Ferrari I was able to get one good lap time, but all the other laps were much slower. And with some cars like the Corvette, all the times are very close to each other. So there's a difference in consistency. Some cars are kind of riding on the edge and some cars are predictable. Later on I also received the Audi R8 as a reward, but it was all over the place. It had severe problems with grip. It was in the bottom group, definitely. If we look at the power ratings, we can't really see any kind of correlation with the best times. The Dodge Viper has clearly the best ratings, yet it was the last of the middle pack. And the Porsche has clearly the worst ratings, yet it was the 5th. So the power ratings, I don't think they really matter after all. I think it's a good idea to own several GT3 level cars and just find the ones that you like the most. They are different, and I hope that this video was helpful in giving an idea of what the differences are.